Gladys Cruz, The Path to Connect to God. Copyright 2013. The Path to Connect to God, Coaching to Success.net. Dedication and acknowledgements. This book is dedicated to all of my readers far and near. To those that encouraged me. For those who believed in me. To the sovereign God who drew me with his love. About the author. Gladys Cruz has been a certified life coach since 2006. She has had a dream to write from her own experiences, her life and the process of development as a lady. This is a new beginning for her in the writing world. She is in her 60s and has 4 children and 6 grandchildren. Gladys Cruz is also a minister that has traveled intensively to different countries. When she has opportunities to share, she shares with humor, courage and transparency. Introduction. My journey on this road has been the greatest experience I have ever had. The purpose of this ebook is to motivate, inspire and intentionally assist you on your path in connecting with God. You may ask what events in your life triggered you to search and discover if there is a God. In this ebook you will learn something about me and the turns and twists of my eventful but mysterious journey. I will share heartfelt experiences since I was a child that led me on this quest to know God. I will share some information regarding my childhood in order to help you the reader visualize and take you on this adventure as you embrace the God I know. Chapter 1. Where are you, God? As I reflect back to my childhood years, I can clearly remember my question to God. Where are you, God? Let me build the stage so we can take a look at the whole picture. My parents came from Puerto Rico in their early 20s. They came to this country searching for a better way to raise a family. They had 8 children, 3 boys and 5 girls. My mother never worked in the corporate world, but she really had the goods to be a housewife and a great mom. She made sure the house was always clean and tidy. We were very poor, but she made sure we had breakfast, lunch and dinner every day. She labored at home to the best of her abilities in spite of the physical and verbal abuse that came from my father. The spirit and nature of my mother set an example for me who I learned to appreciate later on. My father was the breadwinner of the family. The details of how that came about are not important. What I will share is that his preaching was very religious and very ritualistic. The preaching did have a sound of punishment from God if we did not obey. He made us go to church, even if we did not want to go. We had no choice in the matter. Our hearts were rebellious against the God that we did not know. To this day, the rebellion in my siblings is still active. Church left a bitter taste in their mouth. I hope somehow I am reaching you and your quest to connect to God. I can recall the instability and chaos in the home. It added to the confusion that was already in my mind. The question of where God was existed in my mind for a long time. We lived many years in the projects of New York City. This is where my journey began. I can remember so clearly at approximately 6 years of age, as I looked out the living room window I said, God, where are you? Why was I born? I somehow knew that God existed, because I did expect an answer from him. Of course I did not get one, but who knows what would have happened if he did answer me. Many years passed by but the thoughts regarding God would not go away. I felt the thoughts haunted me. Many thoughts crossed my mind regarding God and who I was, but I just pushed them away since I had no one to help me understand the mystery concerning God. I cannot remember exactly when, but we all joined a Pentecostal church. I thought it was strange because of the activities that took place. The services were very long and I never heard a message regarding the love of God. My father attended but showed no interest. My mother seemed to enjoy the services. The singing, praying and all the emotional frenzy that took place kept me in a state of confusion. I was searching for God in the church, but I never found him, at least not then. The elements that made up the services raised questions regarding my search for God. The preaching was about heaven or hell. There was no message that would even come close to answering my questions. My question regarding connecting to God was never answered until many years later. I felt that the church was not able to answer questions regarding purpose and my identity. On this quest of exploration and discovering, my life was out of balance, that it took major turns. The turns my life took never lead me to the solutions and the answers to the emptiness I was feeling. My life without God was something I could not comprehend. Nevertheless, the void within me was still there, and it could not be satisfied with anything or anyone. If you are relating to what I am sharing, then the purpose of this book is being fulfilled. Motivational quote: no matter how slow the film, spirit always stands still long enough for the photographer it has chosen. Mina White. Chapter 2: Why Was I Born? In this chapter we will discover how the path to connect with God revealed secrets that I would have no knowledge about unless my curiosity had ceased. Somehow I knew sooner or later the truth would be revealed. There were times during my rebellious state I felt abandoned by God, which led me to push any thought or idea about Him to the back of my mind. At that particular time many of my nights were filled with thoughts regarding my birth, why I was born, and how God was supposed to be involved in my life. Have you ever wondered why you were born? There are so many teachings out there stating that if you have a relationship with God, then your life would be okay. Well, I will not dispute any teachings, or for that matter any book regarding the salvation of man. As you continue to read, my thoughts for you is that you will be inspired to search out the answers you have been searching for. As I continued to develop in my emotions, even as unhealthy as they were, deep in my heart I was never able to get past this obstacle that seemed to hinder me. At least that is how I processed my thoughts. I understand the mystery of conception and how I got here, but the void in me about why I was born became a cloud in which everything seemed gloomy and dark. My life was void and empty without understanding my purpose. I purchased books on self-help, purpose, and even looked up words to find a description to identify my being. While in high school, I signed up for a program then called Cooperative. The program was set up for a student to attend 1 week of class and 1 week of working. This was my first job. I surrounded myself with people in my job, both professionals and non-professionals. At 16 I was exposed to a world that was foreign to me. Keep in mind, we were isolated as children. We were not allowed to have friends or enjoy our youth. The possibilities were endless, and for once I thought, wow, this is the reason I was born. Little did I know. This was far from the truth. At that time, I did not know my quest to understand the mystery of why I was born was far from becoming a reality. I shared my concerns with co-workers, friends, and anyone who would listen, but I was still feeling empty and without purpose. Their responses were, God is in heaven and He loves you. Well, most people know that, but that does not identify our purpose as human beings. I certainly did not understand my purpose, but I knew that I was born with purpose. I tried to smother any hint of questions regarding why I was born. The anxiety within my heart and the emotional roller coaster I was on created major disorders. In searching for purpose, I needed to emerge from the shadows and identify who I was and who I am. I was not closer to having my questions answered than when I was 6 years old. Motivational quote: we must accept that this creative pulse within us is God's creative pulse itself. Joseph Chilton Pearce. Chapter 3: My Purpose. So here I am in my middle 20s with a circle of friends, a good job which I enjoyed, and a future to behold. I was still in anguish and the hollow feeling was overtaking me. My life became a tumbleweed and I continued to spiral downhill. I literally felt I was in a tunnel where only darkness exists. My life was going around in circles, and I was getting nowhere. I needed to discover my purpose for the sake of my sanity. When a person finds themselves in this situation, an environment that's filled with torment and unhappiness, they more often than not either turn to drugs or alcohol. I found myself questioning God over and over again about my purpose and if He was real, and wondering why I was not getting any answers. An individual can observe the beauty in nature, the miracle of a birth and the universe, which can further solidify the thought that God does exist. Today I know that it was His Spirit beckoning me to respond to the energies I was feeling. People do not know how to respond to impressions or promptings they are sensing within, because they are unaware of their feelings. My dear beloved, I have a question for you. Can you see yourself where I have been? Are you wearing the same shoes and walking the same path? If your response is positive, then you are on the journey to connect to God. You will never be the same. I want to encourage you to continue your search until you feel satisfied to know that you were created with purpose. A new pair of glasses was given to me which gave me a clear vision of purpose. Please take note, the path I traveled to connect with God was a lifelong journey. As I reflect on those special moments of my quest, I knew intervention was on the way. My heart had become soft, pliable and open to embrace the journey in my connection to God. Chapter 4: The Challenge of Believing. This chapter will be brutally honest in order to impact your beliefs regarding connecting to God. Once you learn to understand why you were born and some of your purpose, the challenge of believing will be the next level of connecting to God. Connecting with God means you have an avenue to communicate with a spiritual being. Connecting will open the door to communicate, which will lead to discovering your purpose. It will take faith in your heart to trust and believe Him. Don't be afraid of what you are not acquainted with. Sometimes the unknown and what you are not familiar with is the reality of life. The previous beliefs you were taught and grew up with will try to dominate your mind and enforce what you think is correct. If you do not yet know your purpose, there is a hidden gem inside of you. It is up to you to explore all avenues to the truth. Wrong beliefs will keep you stuck in your perception of Him. My life took many turns, but this time I felt I could communicate my heart to Him. This is a true connection, when you're able to begin a relationship with your Creator. I continued to ask questions, while still inquisitive about Him. The path to connect to God will enlarge your heart to the point of no return without Him. You will go forward until you know you are becoming one with Him. The challenge of your faith will be tested when those around you will question your life and your beliefs. Faith needs to be the foundation of your life and purpose. Please understand that as I am writing from the principle of hindsight. In your challenge of believing, be assured that you will come to a crossroad. A series of crossroads await those who are seeking to connect and discover their purpose. Without reform, our minds give in to questioning once again the reality of God. That is why I was compelled to write this book, to assist you in exploring who you are. Faith lives in your heart. It may be dormant, but words can awaken you once again to believe. There is hope in a measure of faith. Motivational quote: "Try not to become a man of success, but a man of value." Albert Einstein. Chapter 5: As I Stray Away. Let's take a look at the definition for the word stray. It means 1. To deviate from the direct course, leave the proper place or go beyond the proper limits, especially without a fixed course or purpose. 2. To wander, roam. As I recall and reflect back on my life, hindsight is a way of showing us the complete picture. The definition for hindsight is recognition of the realities, possibilities, or requirements of a situation, event, decision, after its occurrence. It brings clarity to where there was a blur in thought. The turmoil was so overwhelming to the point that I could not understand why I was still in a state of desperation and restlessness. In my mind and emotions I felt like I reverted back to the place of a cocoon. The butterfly is protected in a cocoon. The cocoon is the protective shell which hides the butterfly until it is ready to fly and handle the environment created for its nature. My life was wrapped in emptiness and isolation. I took cover from any thoughts that would lead me to investigate once again the God that I thought I knew. When we push back any thought that will enlighten us to grasp a sense of peace and harmony, our lives will be without contentment and without God. We do not need to be religious to connect to God. We need to be open and honest with ourselves and examine our life at this point. The confusion I was experiencing caused me to remove myself from any environment that would give any inclination regarding God. Intentionally I focused on anything and everything, except God. I began to stray away. My conscience no longer needed God or desired Him. As I look back to where I came from, my heart rejoices because finally I am connecting to God. The people I mingled with became the strongest influence in my life. They were ungodly with strong beliefs against God. I was callous and rebellious at the name of God. I felt He was unfair and this Christian thing was too difficult for me. It was easier to stray away than confront my own fears. The fear of the unknown was complicated and my life was already difficult as it was. I shut my ears from anyone who tried to speak to me about God and much less church. During this episode of this journey, my life continued to go downhill. The bitterness and resentment I allowed in my heart became like a cancer. I was affected by heartache and poverty in the human spirit. Motivational quote: nearly all men can stand adversity, but if you want to test a man's character, give him power. Chapter 6: Turning Tragedy into Triumphant. My connection with God was only about salvation. I am sure you have heard the term "you need/have to be saved." Well, I did get saved and I started attending church. My own experience can speak volumes that attending church and taking the first step in accepting salvation does not have the power to transform any person. I still could not find the peace and joy that my heart needed in order to be satisfied. My perception of God was not just going to church, but deep in my heart I felt there was more to God. The church I attend was a Spanish-speaking church where there was lots of singing, preaching and giving of our tithes. I was faithful, but I was still lost when I was supposed to be found. The heart can become anxious and tormented when a person is embarking on a journey to search for God. Many of you that chose to purchase this book are in the same place that I found myself in. Read with caution. God wants to remove the mask of unbelief and establish you in Him. Many call Him God, a higher power, spirit, universe and many other names. It is fine to use different terminology, but you have to understand who you are making a reference to. A major turn occurred in my life and it felt like I was out of control. Major tragedies took place in my life which led me to continue to rebel. The deepest part of me still knew that my purpose was yet to be revealed. My search for truth continued year after year. Even though there had been many turns of tragedy in my life, I continued to embark on this journey that would sooner or later bring me the satisfaction that only He could give. Deep in my core, my spirit, I knew that God loved me no matter what. Guess what? He loves you and His will is that you respond to Him in order to connect with Him. How does your heart feel now? What are you sensing as you read this ebook? The tragedies that happen in my life were my own choices. Without understanding my purpose, my decisions were based on what I wanted, what I liked and especially how I processed my thoughts based on my core beliefs. My question why I was in the earth was still a dilemma. The predicament I found myself was horrific because of the nature of the configurations of my patterns of thought. My life came to a point of becoming suicidal and once that took place, I gave up on life. Readers continue reading on the part of triumphant and how I continue to embark on this quest in knowing God. When a person says they know God, they should be speaking about intimately acquainted with Him. A person will never know their purpose if they are not acquainted with Him. As I continued on this adventure approximately 9 years ago, I had a wonderful encounter with the Lord. There He started speaking to my spirit about the mind of man. How man processes his thoughts and the results of the beliefs. While I was on this next level of my life, I studied the word mind. I realized that how man thinks so he behaves. Wow. I was on the road to victory. In my search and studies I discover, we are what we think. People have always behaved according to their thought patterns. A person's standards and value systems play the major part in determining their behavior. Core beliefs dictate how man thinks and behaves. The New Testament speaks about the mind of man. It clearly tells us that man needs to renew their mind in order to understand the purpose of God in their life. It behooves us to research and study to show ourselves approved. The search for the redemption of the mind is the threshold of our success in connecting with God. It is vital for each person to use this opportunity to re-examine their beliefs. Are they aligning with your purpose and the reason why you were born? The religious circles will never teach anyone regarding their belief system. It is your responsibility to search and examine what you are taught. Chapter 7 Transformation. According to Merriam-Webster, the word transformation has many definitions. We will look at some of them in order to help us understand this chapter. 1. An act or process, or instance of transforming or being transformed to. Function. The synonyms: changeover, metamorphosis, transfiguration, conversion. My pursuit turned into an adventure when I finally discovered that I was able to experience peace of mind, know God and discover the knowledge of Spirit. Beloved, have you been following what I am sharing? Do you sense God wants to connect with you? The transformation that I am speaking about are when changes take place in the mind of a person. The configurations of how we connect the dots are amazing in how we develop a different state of mind. The state of mind will have to change or reform in order to experience peace, joy and contentment. After I experienced the encounter with God, my whole perspective of God changed. Transformation will become a reality in the inner self of who we are. The transformation I am referring to is not how we look on the outside, or the makeup we use, where we shop or the type of job we have. Transformation is internal, not external. It is where paradigms are changed. Our connection with God needs not to be superficial, but real. First becoming real with Him and then with ourselves. Let's look at other ways a person can experience transformation. Somewhere I read that we are transformed by the renewing of our mind. How a person reasons, thinks and processes their thoughts. So it is fair to say that if we are searching for transformation, then we should come to the conclusion that changes have to take place in the mind in order to see positive results in our lives. I have seen so many changes in my life simply because of intentionally working on how I think. As of this writing, yet another change in my thinking regarding books, articles and blogs. Today there are many people in my life that motivate and inspire me to go higher in my purpose. According to Merriam-Webster, the word renew means the following: it is a transitive verb. 1. To make like new, restore to freshness, vigor or perfection. 2. To make new spiritually, regenerate. This e-book should cause us to rethink and then reform so that we can be redefined as a person with purpose. I can say I have vigor and my mind has been restored to freshness. This is a call to action to redefine your life. Maybe your life is great, but you are searching for some truth to bring you to another level. All truth is in the inward parts. Chapter 8 The Joy of Connecting. As I come to the end of the book, my heart leaps with joy because I found the reason I live and I know my purpose. You and I have walked through this brave journey of learning new truths to connecting to God. There is such delight in me as I conclude this breathtaking book. The transformation of the mind and changing the core beliefs are the tools that has set me free. You may say, free from what? Freedom comes with truth and applying truth to your life. We all need to learn to think outside the box. There is an unspeakable joy when people establish a rapport with God, or if you choose to use the word Spirit. That's okay. The essence is the same. The torment and anguish I was going through in the younger years of my life are completely gone. There is joy when we know if we are having a bad day or something is just not working out the way we thought it should. We can always look within and connect with peace. The joy of connecting gives us stability in knowing that God is sovereign and He ordained purpose for all of us. Joy releases a burning love for God and others. It is my desire that everyone experiences what I have experienced. I am elated to be able to share my thoughts and heart with anyone that has a desire to know. Motivational quote by Ernest Hemingway: "It is good to have an end to journey toward, but it is the journey that matters, in the end." Chapter 9 Motivational Quotes. I asked God for all things, that I might enjoy life. God gave life that I might enjoy all things. Unknown author. Your life is a gift from the Creator. Your gift back to the Creator is what you do with your life. Billy Mills. We are each gifted in a unique and important way. It is our privilege and our adventure to discover our own special light. Mary Dunbar. And in the end it's not the years in your life that count, it's the life in your years. Abraham Lincoln. There is not enough darkness in the world to extinguish a single candle flame. St. Francis of Assisi. What sunshine is to flowers, smiles are to humanity. Joseph Addison. Obstacles don't keep a champion down, they make them fight harder. By Michael Kelly. Nobody can stop a man with a goal in his head and a brave and determined heart. Raphael L. Noel. The Path to Connecting to God. By Gladys Cruz. Coaching2Success.net